Bird world, birds of Turkey. Two worlds collide, where Europe and Asia trade feathers instead of flags. But here's the real question. Which bird truly rules this crossroads of continents? To find out, we're flying across Turkey's wild skies, from the shimmering lakes of Anatolia to the sun-baked cliffs by the Aegean. This isn't a calm nature walk. It's a front-row seat to chaos, color, and comedy on wings. Meet the white stork, the eternal traveler returning home like clockwork. The hoopoe, crowned like a tiny king and way too proud of it. And the magpie, that shiny, obsessed thief who proves birds can be just as vain as humans. Some of these creatures are so rare, you could spend a lifetime in Turkey and never spot them twice. Others? They'll show up in your backyard, demanding attention like feathered celebrities. So keep watching, because by the end of this flight, you'll discover not just Turkey's most beautiful birds, but maybe the answer to that first question: who really owns the skies where east meets west? They call it the white stork, tall, calm, graceful, and maybe a little too sure of itself. You've probably seen them in photos standing on chimneys like landlords collecting rent. But here's the wild part. These birds travel thousands of miles from Africa to Turkey every single spring, just to land on the same roof, same nest, same mate. Yeah, they've got better relationship consistency than half of us humans. In Turkish villages, when a stork lands, people smile. It's said to bring peace and luck, and you can feel that hush when one glides over a field, its white wings edged with black, silent as if it owns the air itself. You could call it majestic, or maybe just cocky, because make no mistake, this bird knows it's being watched. Every spring it arrives fashionably late, struts across rooftops, and clatters its beak like applause. That's actually their love language. No song, just the sound of two wooden sticks slapping together. Romantic? Maybe. Terrifying at 3 a.m.? Definitely. Still, these storks stay loyal to the same partner for life. When one dies, the other doesn't move on. It mourns in silence. Tell me that's not more emotional depth than a Netflix drama. Here's the crazy thing, though. Once scientists found a stork in Europe with a spear from Africa lodged in its neck. It had flown home like that. So yeah, these birds are so stubborn they migrate with battle scars. Imagine surviving a spear and still showing up on time for family season. That's not luck. That's legendary. But maybe what makes them truly special isn't the distance they travel, it's the reason they return. To the same patch of sky, same smell of rain, same face waiting in the nest. Call it instinct, call it love, call it old school GPS. But deep down, don't you kind of wish humans were built like that too? So what's your take? Are storks loyal romantics? Or just creatures of habit with wings? Either way, they've earned their spot in bird world, and honestly, maybe a little respect from us ground dwellers too. If elegance had feathers, it would look exactly like this. The mute swan, pure white, neck shaped like a question mark, and the kind of attitude that says, I know I'm gorgeous. Don't even try to deny it. You've seen swans in fairy tales. Graceful, gentle, maybe a bit mysterious. But here's the truth. They're not mute at all. They just prefer silent judgment. While ducks quack like gossiping neighbors, the mute swan glides by, head high, wings half raised, like royalty pretending not to hear the peasants. They float across Turkish lakes at dawn, reflections perfect enough to make a painter cry. But don't be fooled by the poetry. This bird's got a temper. Get too close to its nest and you'll find out what a 25-pound feathered bodyguard feels like. Even dogs back off. Humans too. They don't attack to kill, they attack to educate. Lesson 1, beauty doesn't mean weakness. Here's the part people love. Swans mate for life. Once they choose a partner, that's it. Through storms, migrations, and the occasional awkward silence, they stay together. They'll even intertwine their necks into a perfect heart shape. And yeah, Instagram fell in love with that centuries before Instagram existed. It's romantic until you realize those two might also be silently arguing about who built the nest wrong. In Turkey, watching a pair of mute swans glide over still water feels like time slowing down. No sound, no rush, just quiet devotion. But it also makes you wonder, do they stay together out of love or out of sheer stubborn pride? Because let's be honest, some relationships survive the same way. And yet when one dies, the other sometimes stops eating. No fanfare, no noise, just stillness. That's the kind of heartbreak no fairy tale really prepares you for. So maybe silence is their voice, a language of loyalty, of patience, of power that doesn't need to shout. What do you think? Is the mute swan a symbol of love or just a really attractive control freak? Drop your theory, and remember, quiet ones always have the loudest stories. If patience ever got wings, it'd be wearing gray. Tall, sharp-eyed, and absolutely done with everyone's noise. Meet the gray heron, the loner of Turkey's wetlands. You'll find it standing in shallow water, motionless for what feels like forever. To the untrained eye, it looks bored. To a fish, it's a horror movie waiting to happen. The heron doesn't chase. It waits, neck coiled like a spring, eyes locked, and then strike, faster than you can blink. Dinner served, and it does it all in total silence, like a ninja with feathers. No flapping, no splashing, no drama. Honestly, if patience was an Olympic sport, this bird would own gold for eternity. What's funny is how unbothered it looks. A storm could roll in, ducks could be panicking, and the heron would still stand there like, "Y'all done yet?" It's not antisocial, it's just too focused to care. Maybe that's why ancient cultures saw it as a symbol of wisdom and calm. In a world addicted to speed, the heron's like, "Nah, I'll eat when I'm ready." Here's a fact that'll surprise you. When herons take off, their wings unfold to nearly 2 meters across, but they do it in slow motion, like an old film scene. You can almost hear that deep movie trailer voice, "In a world where silence hunts." But don't mistake calm for weakness. They're deadly efficient, fiercely territorial, and will stab at rivals with that dagger-like beak. Basically, a monk with a weapon. And when they fly across Turkey's lakes at dusk, gray wings against orange sky, it's hard not to stop and stare. So what do you think? Is the gray heron a patient master of Zen, or just the laziest predator on Earth? Because let's be honest, we've all met someone who waits around just long enough to get exactly what they want. Either way, in the quiet corners of bird world, the heron doesn't shout, doesn't rush, doesn't care, and somehow that's exactly why it always wins. If the gray heron is the monk of the wetlands, then the great cormorant is the total opposite, the wild diver who refuses to sit still. You'll spot it on Turkey's rocky lake shores, wings outstretched like it's posing for an action movie poster. But here's the twist. It's not showing off. It's literally drying itself because its feathers aren't waterproof. Evolution gave it a sleek body and Olympic swimming skills and forgot the raincoat. So after every dive, it stands there in that Jesus on the lake pose like, "Behold, peasants. I have returned from the deep." It's dramatic, unapologetic, and kind of hilarious. While swans float in elegance, cormorants look like soaked goth kids who just discovered eyeliner. But underwater? Oh, that's their domain. They can stay submerged for over a minute, chasing fish like underwater torpedoes. No hesitation, no wasted motion, just speed, precision, and total chaos. Local fishermen in Turkey have a love-hate thing with them. On one hand, they respect the skill. On the other, the cormorant basically raids their stock like a feathered bandit. These birds have been trained for centuries in Asia to fish for humans. But in Turkey, they fish only for themselves, the original freelancers of the avian world. You'll see them pop up from the water holding a silver fish, shake it once, swallow it whole, and vanish again like they just pulled off a heist. Their colonies? Loud, messy, smelly. They argue, squawk, and steal each other's perches like roommates fighting over the couch. And somehow it works. They're survivors, ancient, adaptable, and built for extremes. But here's the thing that keeps people watching. When the sun sets and dozens of them perch with wings wide open, it looks almost mythical. Dark silhouettes against golden water. Creepy? A little. Majestic? Absolutely. So what's your verdict? Are cormorants misunderstood underwater geniuses? Or just soggy drama queens with great PR? Either way, in bird world, they prove one thing for sure. Sometimes being a little extra is exactly what keeps you afloat. If the great cormorant is the loud, splashy diver of Turkey's lakes, then this next one is the quiet poet of the mountains. Meet the white-throated dipper, small, round, and looking like it's wearing a tuxedo to a river party. At first glance, you might think it's just another cute songbird hopping on rocks. But then, it dives underwater. Wait, what? Yeah, this tiny fluffball doesn't fly over rivers. It walks through them. It literally strolls along the riverbed like some feathered scuba explorer using its wings to swim and its eyes to see underwater. Nature basically said, let's make a bird that breaks all the rules. And boom, the dipper happened. You'll find it in Turkey's mountain streams, where the water is freezing, fast, and loud. And yet this bird just sings. It perches on a rock midstream and belts out a tune so clear it cuts right through the noise of rushing water. It's like watching a karaoke contest where the performer's mic is a waterfall. People say the dipper song was once used by shepherds as a sign of clean water nearby. If you heard that bubbling whistle, you knew the stream was pure. That's kind of poetic. A bird as both artist and water quality inspector. And if you watch closely, it bows before every dive, a polite little nod as if saying, "Excuse me, nature, I'll be right back." Then it disappears into the current, pops back up seconds later with a bug in its beak, and shakes off the water like it just owned the moment. It doesn't care about fame or flash. It doesn't need bright colors or big wings. It just does what it does, perfectly, quietly, and without apology. And somehow, that's what makes it unforgettable. So here's a thought. In a world full of loud birds fighting for attention, maybe the dippers got it right? Sing your song, do your thing, and dive when others hesitate. What do you think? Is the white-throated dipper a symbol of calm confidence, or just a tiny lunatic that forgot it's supposed to fly? Now, if the white-throated dipper was poetry in motion, this next bird is pure art. The common kingfisher. Tiny, electric, and shining like a flying gemstone. You see one flash across a Turkish river, and you'll swear someone just tossed a piece of sapphire into the sunlight. It's small, barely the size of your hand, but it carries itself like it owns the entire riverbank. 1 second it's perched on a branch, still as glass. The next it's a streak of blue fire cutting through the air. And when it dives, oh, that's the showstopper. It doesn't splash. It pierces the water like an arrow. A split second later, it's back up, shaking droplets from its feathers. Fish clamped in its dagger of a beak like, yep, nailed it again. People call it the jewel of the stream. And honestly, that's underselling it. Its feathers shift between turquoise, emerald, and gold depending on the light. But here's the twist. Those colors aren't from pigment. They're from microscopic structures that bend light. That's right. It's literally built from optical illusion. Nature's got its own special effects department, and the kingfisher's the poster child. But for all that beauty, it's got a temper. This bird is territorial. It'll chase off anything that gets too close, even another kingfisher. You'd think something this small would mind its manners. Nope. It's the neighborhood diva with a beak. 1 minute it's majestic, the next it's yelling at dragonflies like an angry landlord. In Turkey, you'll find them along clean, fast-flowing rivers, the kind that mirror mountains and sky together. Seeing one hover above the water, wings beating like a blur, you can't help but stop and watch. Time freezes for that one perfect moment, and then, splash, gone again. So maybe the kingfisher isn't just about beauty. Maybe it's proof that confidence and chaos can share the same wings. What do you think? Is the kingfisher nature's most glamorous hunter, or just a tiny show-off with serious main character energy? Either way, in bird world it proves one thing. The smaller the bird, the bigger the attitude. If there were a best-dressed contest in bird world, the Eurasian hoopoe would walk in late, steal the spotlight, and pretend it didn't even try. That crest, a full-time crown. Those feathers, a walking piece of abstract art. This bird doesn't blend in. It announces its arrival. You can find it across Turkey, strutting around fields and orchards like a mini celebrity. It's small, sure, about the size of a robin, but it carries itself like it's got paparazzi hiding in the bushes. It's got that cinnamon pink body, zebra-striped wings, and a mohawk that flares open whenever it's excited or annoyed. Basically the bird version of saying, watch your tone. And that call, hoop, 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 it's how the bird got its name. Cute, right? Except when you've heard it 50 times at 5 a.m. Then it's less cute and more nature's alarm clock with no snooze button. In Turkey, the hoopoe isn't just another bird, it's a cultural icon. Ancient poets called it the messenger of kings. In Islamic tradition, it even appears in stories with Solomon, carrying messages across deserts. That's a resume no parrot can beat. But behind that royal reputation lies a fun contradiction. The hoopoe loves dirt. It digs the ground for bugs, grubs, and worms, elegant on top, messy at the bottom, like someone wearing designer shoes to go dumpster diving. And here's another curveball. Its nest smells terrible. Really? It produces a defensive stink to keep predators away. So, beautiful bird, awful roommate. Still, you can't help but admire the confidence. Every feather says, I'm fabulous, deal with it. And maybe that's why people remember it. Not for perfection, but for personality. So what's your verdict? Is the Eurasian hoopoe a royal messenger? Or just a loud, smelly diva with great hair? Either way, one thing's clear. In the skies of Turkey, the hoopoe doesn't follow trends. It creates them. If the Eurasian hoopoe was the drama queen of Turkey's skies, Then the European bee-eater is the fashion model. Colorful, flashy, and fully aware of how stunning it looks. Seriously, this bird's got more colors than a box of crayons in a blender. Golden chest, turquoise belly, chestnut back, black eyeliner. It's the kind of bird that makes every other species look underdressed. You see one flash by in sunlight and boom, instant rainbow with wings. In fact, bee-eaters are so photogenic that photographers in Turkey literally set up tripods just to wait for them to land. Because when they do, it's like the sky just dropped confetti. But don't let the pretty face fool you. This bird is a professional killer. Its favorite snack? Bees. And not the dead ones. The buzzing, stinging kind. It catches them mid-air, slams them against a branch, and then squeezes out the venom like it's juicing fruit. Only then does it swallow the bee whole. Tell me that's not both horrifying and impressive. Their colonies are like colorful cities carved into riverbanks. Hundreds of tunnels, families raising chicks, and constant chatter that sounds like a tropical party soundtrack. They migrate all the way from Africa to Turkey every summer, like snowbirds trading sand for wildflowers. And when the wind moves through a field full of bee-eaters, it's chaos and beauty at the same time. But here's what really gets people talking. Some folks say the bee-eater's colors evolved purely for attraction. Flashier feathers, better love life. Others argue it's camouflage among the flowers. Me? I think nature just got bored one afternoon and said, let's paint one like a carnival and see what happens. Either way, this bird breaks the rule that beauty and danger can't mix. It's got the looks of a rainbow and the reflexes of a cobra. So what do you think? Is the European bee-eater nature's perfect blend of killer and cover model, or just proof that sometimes style really does sting? From the bright, joyful chaos of the bee-eater, we dive straight into something darker. Meet the red-backed shrike, a bird so small, so innocent-looking, you'd never guess it's the serial killer of the countryside. Cute round head, black mass like a tiny bandit, soft gray wings and a chestnut back. It looks like a plush toy that sings sweetly in the morning. Except instead of singing, it's out there impaling its lunch. Yeah, you heard that right. This bird doesn't just eat insects or mice. It skewers them on thorns. Grasshoppers, lizards, even small birds, lined up like trophies in its personal horror museum. And you thought your cat was weird. It's not just violence for fun. There's method in the madness. The shrike stores its food this way because it can't tear prey apart easily. No sharp talons, no strong claws. So it uses nature's tools. Barbed wire, cactus spines, rose thorns, whatever's handy. Basically, it's the DIY predator of bird world. Tiny, ruthless, and disturbingly organized. Farmers in Turkey both love and fear it. It eats pests, sure, but it's also been known to stash things in odd places, like dead beetles on fence posts. You'd think it's marking territory, but maybe it's just decorating. Martha Stewart, but make it murder. And when you see one perched high on a branch, it's got that look. Part hunter, part philosopher. Like it's planning something. Its black mask adds to the mystery. A feathery little Zorro who doesn't fight for justice, just for dinner. The red-backed shrike might be small, but it's the perfect reminder that looks can deceive. It doesn't need size or power to rule its patch, just cunning, precision, and a total lack of mercy. So what's your take? Genius strategist or tiny psychopath in feathers? Either way, next time you see one of those cute little birds sitting quietly on a wire, you might want to check if it's sharpening something first. If the red-backed shrike is the tiny assassin of the fields, then the common kestrel is the sky's version of a sniper. Quiet, focused, and terrifyingly precise. You've probably seen them without realizing it. A small hawk hovering motionless in midair, tail fanned, wings fluttering like a drone, holding position. They can literally hang in the sky, eyes locked on some clueless mouse far below. Then, boom, they drop like a bullet. No warning, no mercy, no second chances. And you have to respect that. It's not strength that makes the kestrel deadly. It's control. Every twitch of the wind, every shadow of grass, it reads them like a live map. That little head keeps bobbing up and down, and you might think it's nervous. Nope. It's calculating distance, speed, trajectory. Basically, a living ballistic computer with feathers. In Turkey, you'll spot them over open fields, ruins, even highways. They've adapted perfectly to both wilderness and city skylines. While pigeons panic at car horns, kestrels use the draft from traffic to hover more easily. Who knew evolution loved efficiency this much? Here's a cool twist. Their eyes can see ultraviolet light. To us, the ground looks normal. To them, it's glowing with the trails of tiny rodents. Mouse pee literally lights up like neon signs saying free buffet this way. So when the kestrel dives, it's not guessing. It's following a glowing trail of dinner. And despite their deadly skill, they look almost cute. Slim, cinnamon brown plumage, a little black mustache, like a polite assassin in a trench coat. Even the way they perch is chill, like they're thinking, yeah, I could kill you, but I'm not in the mood today. But here's the debate. Are they nature's precision engineers or just adrenaline junkies who can't resist a dramatic entrance? They don't need the roar of an eagle or the bulk of a hawk. They win with grace, not brute force. So what's your take? Would you rather have the kestrel's calm focus or its killer instinct? Either way, this little falcon proves something simple. In bird world, size is nothing. Precision is everything. Now we've entered the night shift of bird world, where silence has claws and the moon has an audience. Meet the Eurasian Eagle-Owl, the heavyweight champion of Turkey's midnight skies. This bird doesn't hunt, it materializes. You don't see it coming, you just hear that deep, booming hoo-hoo rolling through the valleys like thunder with feathers. And if you're a rabbit hearing that sound, well, buddy, your night just got a lot shorter. Standing nearly 2.5 feet tall, with orange eyes that look like glowing embers, the eagle-owl isn't just big, it's mythic. You see those eyes flash in the dark, and you understand why ancient cultures thought it was a spirit, a flying shadow that sees everything, judges everything, and probably knows your browser history. It can lift prey heavier than itself, foxes, ducks, even other birds of prey, and it does it without a sound. Each feather is designed to muffle the air, so when it strikes, the night doesn't even notice. Imagine a ninja wrapped in velvet. Now give it wings and a death stare. But here's the funny thing. For all that power, eagle owls are surprisingly affectionate with their mates. They coo softly, share meals, and raise chicks together like an old married couple. It's both adorable and terrifying, like finding out Batman also bakes muffins. In Turkey, locals call it baykush, and it carries both respect and superstition. Some see it as a protector, others as an omen. But once you watch one perched on a ruined castle, bathed in moonlight, you'll understand why stories cling to it. And let's be honest, it knows how impressive it looks. That slow blink, pure intimidation. That deep call, pure confidence. It doesn't need to prove anything. So what do you think? Is the Eurasian eagle-owl a wise guardian of the dark? Or just the most dramatic insomniac in bird world? Either way, one thing's for sure. When this bird's around, even the night holds its breath. After the booming power of the eagle-owl, let's dim the lights and step a little deeper into the forest, where the night doesn't roar, it whispers. Here lives the tawny owl, the soft-spoken storyteller of Turkey's woodlands. You've probably heard it before without knowing. That haunting hoo, 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 hoo echoing through the trees. That's the tawny. It's not trying to scare you. It's just saying good evening, in a tone that accidentally sounds like a ghost. Smaller and rounder than its giant cousin, this owl looks like it was carved out of tree bark. Mottled brown, streaked with gray, and eyes so dark they feel like tiny wells of calm. It doesn't dominate the night like the eagle owl does. It owns its little corner of it, quietly, confidently, like someone who knows every secret path. The tawny doesn't chase, it glides, weaving through branches with perfect precision. One heartbeat, you're alone. The next, it's right above you, watching. It hunts mice, frogs, and sometimes small birds, but somehow makes every strike look poetic. No sound, no rush, just grace and silence. And when they pair up, oh, they're adorable. Devoted partners who share territories for life. They sing duets at night, the male calling, the female answering, like an old couple finishing each other's sentences. It's less wild predator and more romantic podcast with feathers. But here's the twist. They're fiercely territorial. Those gentle hoots can turn into war cries if another owl dares cross the line. Imagine a married couple running a cozy forest Airbnb and chasing intruders off with violence. Still, it's hard not to love them. Their calm energy makes the forest feel alive but peaceful, like nature taking a deep breath. Some say the tawny owl represents wisdom. Others think it's a symbol of solitude. But maybe it's something simpler, a reminder that not every presence needs to be loud to be powerful. So what do you think? Is the tawny owl a philosopher of the forest, or just the introvert who figured out life before the rest of us did? If the tawny owl is the wise old monk of the forest, then the Eurasian jay is the neighborhood prankster. Smart, loud, and absolutely impossible to ignore. You'll spot it darting through Turkey's oak forests, a flash of soft pink, black, and electric blue wings. Yes, blue, and not just any blue. That perfect shade of shimmering sky that looks like it was stolen from a kingfisher, which honestly makes sense because stealing is kind of this bird's thing. Jays are the ultimate forest multitaskers. They mimic sounds, stash food, sound alarms, and somehow still find time to gossip about everything that moves. Their calls aren't exactly melodic. It's more like a car alarm that learns sarcasm. You hear it and think, is that a bird or an angry radio? But don't underestimate that chaos. It's strategy. When danger comes, jays are the first to shout. They warn every animal nearby, deer, squirrels, even other birds. And in return, everyone kind of tolerates their attitude. They're noisy, yes, but also the neighborhood security system. And get this, they remember hundreds of hiding spots for their acorns. Scientists say a single jay can plant an entire forest by accident, just by forgetting where it buried lunch. So technically, these troublemakers are also landscapers. They've been reforesting Turkey one misplaced snack at a time. They're also master mimics. Farmers swear they've heard jays copy human whistles or dog barks just to mess with them. It's not about survival, it's about entertainment. You can almost hear them laughing mid-branch like, relax, it's just me. Gotcha again. But beneath the jokes, there's brilliance. They plan, deceive, and even use teamwork. Traits you don't expect in something that weighs less than your phone. So what do you think? Are Eurasian jays the geniuses of the forest? Or just feathered comedians with too much free time? Either way, one thing's certain. In bird world, they're the life of the party and the reason everyone hides their food. If the Eurasian jay is the class clown of Turkey's forests, then the Eurasian magpie is the clever thief who graduated top of the class and still came back just to mess with everyone. Sleek black and white feathers, that long iridescent tail flashing blue-green in the sun. This bird doesn't blend in, it shows off. You look at it and immediately know, this one's up to something. And you'd be right, because magpies have a reputation. They love shiny things. Coins, keys, jewelry, foil, basically anything that sparkles. No one really knows why. Maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's instinct, or maybe it's just the bird version of, I don't need it, but it looks cool. In Turkey's towns and farmlands, magpies are everywhere, perched on fences, poking around rooftops, and occasionally arguing with their own reflection. They travel in groups, loud, bossy, gossiping like a feathered reality show. And when they're not stealing, they're mocking, literally. They can imitate sounds, voices, even other birds' alarm calls, just to confuse the neighborhood. If jays are pranksters, magpies are master trolls. But here's the thing. Beneath that troublemaker energy lies genius. Magpies can recognize themselves in mirrors. One of the few animals on Earth that can. That puts them in the same intelligence league as dolphins and great apes. Not bad for a bird everyone calls annoying, right? They also mourn their dead, hold small funerals, and show empathy. A reminder that maybe their chaos hides a deeper emotional code. That's what makes them fascinating. They're both mischievous and mindful. And let's not forget their sense of drama. If a magpie doesn't like you, you'll know. They'll stare you down with that glossy black eye like, try me, human. I dare you. So what's your verdict? Criminal mastermind, misunderstood genius, or just a stylish kleptomaniac with feathers? Whatever you decide, in bird world, the magpie proves that intelligence and trouble often fly side by side. If the magpie is the flashy thief, then the hooded crow is the street philosopher, gray suit, black hoodie, and a brain that never stops plotting. In Turkey's cities, towns, and farmlands, it's everywhere. Lurking on lampposts, raiding trash bins, and outsmarting everyone from farmers to seagulls. Let's get one thing straight. This bird is way smarter than it looks. It doesn't just find food, it strategizes. Drop a walnut on the road, wait for a car to crack it open, then swoop in between traffic like it owns the place. That's not instinct. That's urban engineering. The hooded crow is the ultimate survivor. It thrives where others give up. Rooftops become cliffs, bus stops become hunting perches, and people become part of the ecosystem. Unwillingly. It'll watch you eat a sandwich and somehow convince you to drop half of it. And when you do, it caws at you like it's saying, thanks for participating. They work in teams too. One distracts, one steals. You think you're smarter, but you're just part of the experiment. Scientists have found they can recognize human faces and remember who wronged them. So yeah, don't tick one off. You might get dive-bombed by an entire family reunion next week. And yet there's something oddly noble about them. They don't hide their intelligence. They flaunt it. That slow, confident walk, that's not arrogance. That's earned swagger. When you survive centuries of human expansion, superstition, and side eyes, you stop caring about what people think. In Turkey, locals call them karga, sometimes as an insult, sometimes with affection, because they see themselves in it. Clever, stubborn, adaptable. It's not the prettiest bird, but it's got personality that could fill a room. So what do you think? Is the hooded crow a cunning trickster, keeping nature in balance, or just a feathery hustler with attitude? Either way, it's the perfect reminder that brains beat beauty, and sometimes survival is just a well-timed caw. After all those clever thieves and sky hunters, let's take a breath. Meet the European robin. Small, round, and possibly the friendliest face in all of bird world. In Turkey's parks, gardens, and quiet forests, you'll find this little orange-chested fluffball hopping around like it owns the place. And in a way, it does. While other birds flee at the sight of humans, the robin hops closer, curious, bold, like it's auditioning to be your emotional support bird. It's funny, Europeans see it as the symbol of warmth, hope, even Christmas itself. But here's the secret. That cute, innocent exterior, it hides a fighter. Male robins are brutally territorial. They'll chase off rivals twice their size, singing sweetly 1 second and throwing punches the next. Basically, they're Disney heroes with a bit of UFC energy. Their song, though, that's the real magic. Soft, melodic, with a hint of melancholy, like a lullaby written by someone who's seen every sunrise. In Turkey's highlands, their voice cuts through the cool air at dawn, a sound that feels like home even if you've never been there before. And get this, robins often follow gardeners, waiting for them to turn up worms. They're not being cute, they're being strategic. But the effect is the same. You look down and there's this tiny bird staring at you like, well, you gonna dig or what? That's why people love them. They don't act wild, they act familiar. Like that one neighbor who just shows up uninvited, but you never mind. You can't stay mad at a robin. It's too wholesome for this world. Still, I can't help wondering, does it stick around because it loves us or because we're the easiest earthworm vending machines in town? So what do you think? Is the European robin nature's sweetheart or a tiny mastermind wrapped in feathers and charm? Either way, it's living proof that kindness, real or strategic, can still make the world a little warmer. If the European robin is your polite little neighbor, then the great tit is the one who shows up loud, uninvited, and somehow still makes the party better. You'll find it everywhere in Turkey, forests, city parks, even your backyard bird feeder, and you'll hear it before you see it. That high, cheerful teacher call? Yeah, that's them, yelling motivational quotes at 6 a.m. They've got a bright yellow belly, black head, white cheeks, like a tiny superhero in a tuxedo vest, always bouncing around, upside down on branches, pecking, chirping, never sitting still for a single second. It's basically caffeine with feathers. But don't let the cute look fool you. The great tit is bold. It'll fight off bigger birds for food, snatch insects midair, and inspect your picnic like a self-appointed health inspector. And when it's nesting season, let's just say this bird could give real estate agents a run for their money. They'll move into anything, tree holes, pipes, mailboxes, and still act like they're paying rent. Here's the twist. These guys are problem solvers. Scientists ran experiments with puzzle boxes, and the great tit figured out how to open them for food. Fast. Like, I've hacked your security system fast. Some even learn by watching others. Yes, social learning. You're looking at the YouTube generation of the bird world, and they're not shy around humans either. They'll land near your hand, give you that tilted head look like, hey buddy, you done with that sandwich? You can't help but laugh. They act like they own the place, and maybe they kind of do. But here's what's fascinating. Despite being common, every great tit has a unique personality. Some are curious, others cautious, some just loud for no reason. Sound familiar? Yeah, they're basically us with feathers. So what do you think? Is the great tit the class clown of nature? Or just proof that energy and intelligence make the best combo? Either way, next time you hear that teacher outside your window, maybe it's not a bird, maybe it's motivation. If the great tit was your loud morning alarm, then the chaffinch is that friend who wakes you gently, with music instead of noise. When spring comes to Turkey's forests, the chaffinch is the first to step up to the mic. Its song bursts through the trees, clear, bright, and full of optimism, like nature's version of "Good morning, sunshine." You don't just hear it, you feel it. That melody makes you stop, smile, and suddenly life doesn't seem so complicated. And it's not just about the music. The bird itself is a tiny piece of art. Blue-gray head, pinkish chest, soft white wing bars, like someone painted it using the first colors of spring. Every detail feels fresh, clean, alive. Even the way it hops around, chest puffed out, it's got that confident energy of a performer who knows the crowd's already in love. Funny thing, the name chaffinch comes from chaff, the husks left after threshing grain. Farmers used to notice them picking seeds from the fields after harvest, like little cleanup crews with great vocal talent. Talk about singing for your supper. Male chaffinches are the real divas, though. They sing to claim territory, to attract mates, and probably just because they enjoy hearing themselves. The ladies, they listen, judge, and pick their favorite. It's basically the voice bird edition. And here's a sweet detail. Each region's chaffinches have slightly different accents. The ones in Turkey sing in a softer, rolling rhythm, while others across Europe sound sharper. So yeah, even birds have local dialects. Imagine a world where nature has its own playlist, and every tree plays a remix. Watching a chaffinch on a sunny morning, singing its heart out on a blooming branch, you get it. It's not just noise, it's joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy. So what do you think? Do they sing because they're happy, or are they happy because they sing? Either way, one thing's certain. The chaffinch reminds us that sometimes the simplest songs carry the biggest smiles. If the chaffinch is the cheerful pop singer of spring, then the mistle thrush is the old soul, the folk musician of Turkey's woodlands. No glitter, no flash, just that deep, confident voice that turns silence into something sacred. They call it the storm singer. Why? Because this bird keeps singing even as thunder rolls in. While everyone else dives for cover, the mistle thrush stands tall on a branch, rain dripping off its feathers, belting out that flute-like song into the wind. It's like it's saying, yeah, life gets messy. Sing louder. Its look matches the mood. Soft gray-brown plumage covered in dark spots, like raindrops on parchment. Nothing showy, just timeless. You might even miss it if you weren't listening. But once you do, it stays with you. The voice carries across valleys, echoing through Turkish hillsides at dawn, haunting and hopeful all at once. There's an old belief here. When the mistle thrush sings before a storm, it's calling for courage, reminding nature not to be afraid. Bird or bard, who knows? Either way, it feels like a kind of forest prayer. And here's the twist. Despite its calm reputation, the mistle thrush is fiercely protective. It'll dive bomb crows, squirrels, even humans who wander too close to its nest. That gentle voice, it comes with a warning label. It sings peace, but it defends like a soldier. Maybe that's what makes it special. It's not naive calm, it's earned calm. The kind that comes from knowing storms pass and songs remain. Watch one stand under dark skies, singing while lightning flashes in the distance. And tell me it's just another bird. No, that's a survivor, a poet in feathers. So what do you think? Is the mistle thrush brave or just beautifully stubborn? Maybe both. Because sometimes the loudest form of courage isn't a roar. It's a song that refuses to stop. And now we end our flight where the sky itself becomes the stage. Meet the common starling, a bird so ordinary by name, yet capable of one of the most extraordinary shows on Earth. You've seen it, even if you didn't know what it was. A dark cloud swirling above the fields at sunset, twisting, folding, dancing. Thousands of birds moving as one, painting the sky with rhythm and chaos and grace. That's a murmuration. And if you've never seen it in real life, add it to your bucket list right now. Each starling on its own looks, well, pretty average. Blackish feathers with a metallic sheen, tiny specks of gold and purple that shimmer in the light like oil on water. But the magic happens when they come together. No leader, no plan, just pure instinctive coordination. Every bird follows 6 or 7 neighbors, and somehow thousands create a single living wave. Scientists call it physics. I call it poetry. In Turkey's countryside, when the sun begins to drop, you'll see them gather. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They rise into the air like smoke, then split apart, merge again, a breathing storm made of feathers and unity. It's hypnotic. And for a few minutes, the world feels perfectly synchronized. And yeah, they can be pests, raiding crops, crowding city wires, arguing in flocks like feathery politicians. But when they dance like that, you forget the noise, you forget the mess. All you see is connection. The starling reminds us that power isn't about size or strength, but about harmony. That when individuals move together, not in competition, but in rhythm, even chaos can become beautiful. So what do you think? Are starlings just noisy troublemakers? or the universe's way of reminding us what unity looks like? Either way, as the last light fades over Turkey's skies, the murmuration drifts into darkness, and Bird World's symphony ends not with a bang, but with a whisper that flies together. And there you have it. 20 of Turkey's wildest, weirdest, and most unforgettable wings. From the royal Mute Swan to the sneaky Magpie, from the storm-singing Mistle Thrush to the starling Sky Ballet. Every one of them proved that Turkey isn't just a bridge between continents, it's a living concert between earth and sky. We met killers that look cute, divas that smell terrible, and lovebirds that make human relationships look like amateur hour. But that's Bird World for you. Part comedy, part chaos, all beauty. And maybe that's the real lesson hiding under those feathers. That survival and song can live in the same heart, and that every creature, no matter how small, has a story worth listening to. So now it's your turn. Which bird stole the show for you? Was it the fierce, the funny, or the flat-out fabulous? Drop your answer in the comments and tell us, if you could fly with just one of them, which wings would you borrow? Because here in Bird World, the sky's always open for debate.